Well, officially welcome to the Cricket in the Cabin podcast with your host, me, Randall Clay. Ever since I was actually kind of a kid, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is to have a microphone. Just know that everything I say, these are my opinions, and that I am a complete idiot, and that most of what I say is bullshit. Just do it. Go for it. Like, what is holding you back? All in, man. Shit, I mean, that might just be the intro. I just started talking just to see where it went. That might be the actual intro. I originally had a plan on how to start this, but as this moment was actually coming, it's been kind of overwhelming. Actually, it's just a moment. It's kind of leaving me speechless. But there are a few moments in your life that you know that before they happen, going into them, that you're gonna remember them forever. And this is one of them for me. So if you've known me for any amount of time, starting a podcast has been something that I've absolutely wanted to do. Ever since I was actually kind of a kid, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is to have a microphone and to have people listen to me. So pretty much that's all I've been doing lately. Streaming, posting on social media, now podcasting. So here we are. But uh, the overwhelming thing was I didn't really think about it until literally 5 minutes ago, like right before. I might even have been right before I hit play on that camera there. That in 2 weeks from now, a year ago from in 2 weeks from now, a year ago from that, then I was in a really bad spot. I was really down, and I challenged myself at that point to. It was 54 days until my birthday, my 34th birthday, and I challenged myself of what could I possibly do if I went all in. I leaned into it the best that I could, and what could I create? And then by my birthday, I had come up with, I don't remember the actual numbers now. There's a post out there somewhere that I'll find eventually. But I had posted a couple of YouTube videos. I had been streaming, learned how to stream. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like, I still learn the software every freaking day. It's a pain. I'm constantly getting sound checks out there. So shout out there to Acliner90, always out there with me, doing sound checks constantly. But it's like anyway, what I was accomplished, I was pretty happy with. And then, you just keep going with it. You just keep stepping further into it. And then I did take 2 months off because I got to a point to where I really lost faith in myself. Had 2 months off. And then, but during that time, I was really grinding on gaming, trying to just get better. And in that, I realized that I didn't really like gaming alone anymore. I wanted to have that purpose of being able to stream and be out there for a place where people can come and hang out and be there for them. Because for me, video games got me through really dark times, and that's another podcast that we'll get really into video games and all of that kind of stuff. We'll get down that in the road, or down the road, we'll get into that. But I say all that to say this is that I realize that now here I am. I'm starting a podcast. We're going to be publishing this tomorrow. I'm posting on social media. We have a following on Twitch. I have actual subscribers and streaming consistently, and I feel like I'm playing at like my peak. But anyway, anyway, I say all that to say that this is a moment where a lot of things are aligning, and you just see where you come. So anyway, I also have music playing right now. So I thought that would help as I got into this, but it's also the song Made for This by Satsang. Satsong is currently playing, so it's really hitting. But anyway, here we are a year later, and we're still all in, man. And I'm just telling you that as I sit here and talk into a microphone and have people listen to me, because you're listening to me right now, it's a dream come true. So I'm encouraging you to just do it. Go for it. Like, what is holding you back? All in, man. Anyway, I say that as an intro that I didn't plan. And shit, I mean, that might just be the intro. I just started talking just to see where it went. That might be the actual intro. But for a podcast to work, there has to be a relationship. There has to be a genuine relationship between the host and the audience. And I think that that only happens if the podcast host is willing to be vulnerable and willing to be open and share things and to laugh at themselves, you know. I think I think that's what's important, and that's what I want to offer you as our first episode together. I want to offer you a story that is 100% true and not a single person knows. Only me. And I think that this story is a perfect story to really get into the podcast together and to get our relationship going. Um, but I have to say something first before that. And I know that in this podcast, I always want to be raw. I always want to be real. And I want to talk about real stuff and stuff that, I'm going through. And I never want to, say anything that causes anyone else to feel any other way. Just know that everything I say, these are my opinions and that I am a complete idiot and that most of what I say is bullshit. And I realize that almost anything that you say can be contradicted and completely spun back around and all of those things. But also know that everything I say, I try to enter as delicately as possible with as much respect as possible for everybody involved. And never, ever do I ever try to offend someone or harm anyone with anything I say. But I think that there's a lot of real things that I want to talk about that a lot of people I kind of either don't talk about or shy away from, or the way that I talk about them might be differently because of like what I've been through, what I've experienced. One second, my computer just went blue. Ronnie, get that up. All right, we're good. Sorry. So, also shout out. Look at us. We got camera one, and we got camera two. Camera one, and camera two. We also got mic one and mic two. Just in case, I got backups just in case because it's the best that I can do to help my anxiety since I am alone in this room. Well, me and it's Ronnie. Ronnie's also my producer over there. But anyway, where was I? This is going to be a problem since there's no one else in the room too. Is that I'm going to forget where I am. Being vulnerable. Oh yeah, saying the things is because the way that I say things is going to be just a certain way. And once again, I don't ever mean any harm by any of those things. So before we get going into that, the setting of this story is one of my best friend's funeral, and my best friend decided not to be with us anymore. Decided to take his own life. So I say that to say it delicately that if anyone you know is struggling with anything, or if you are struggling with anything, sometimes it's a lot to say to reach out to someone or reach out for help. That's a lot. What I would say this is if you know someone that's struggling, reach out to them, but reach out to them in a, to me, I mean, just reach out and just, hey, did you see this new episode? Or hey, did you like this? Just get a conversation going. Leading with how you're doing is overwhelming sometimes. And if you're going through something, I would encourage you to reach out to someone. And same thing for me, at least it helps. Like when I would reach out, it wouldn't be like, "Hey, I'm feeling bad, help me." It would be like, "Hey, did you see this new episode?" "Oh no, I didn't." "Oh, let me know if you do." And you find something on someone to connect with and have a conversation and do those things. But anyway, I say that to get going into this story. So it is the day of. my best friend's funeral, and I have overwhelming anxiety. I, go waking up that morning, it just you can imagine what it was like. But anyway, the night before, I made sure that I wash all my clothes. I made sure that I had my perfect outfit, which may have been these jeans. I don't know. And it was like a blue button-up shirt, and clean socks, clean undies, everything that I could possibly take care of the night before. I tried to take care of because it was something to occupy my brain to do. But the day of, I wake up. Obviously I'm up way early. I don't even know if I slept. You get your shower, you get ready. I got my beard oil and everything as nice as I can possibly be, and um, I leave. So where I was living at the time, I was going to drive from where I was living back to my hometown, which was probably about like a 45-minute drive. And then from there, we were going to get on motorcycles and we were going to ride from there to the church on motorcycles. And then when we went to the cemetery, we were going to ride motorcycles with them as well. Well, we did. That's what happened. So I was driving, driving to my hometown, and I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I'm. There's so much going on that you kind of have so many feelings that you have no feelings. And I'm driving. I'm about halfway there, and where I am from is a very very small rural, out in the middle of nowhere town. So I'm driving these back roads that I know. You're just cruising and stuff, and all of a sudden, I had to fart. I thought I farted, and immediately, you feel that warm. I had a very, very warm butt crack. Just say that, very warm butt crack. So immediately I had to, as I'm driving, and I'm also on a curvy road, so it's back road. So I'm curving like this, and I'm curving. I had to pull one of these moves because like how it goes into slow motion, and in that moment where, well, when like in a not in that moment. I don't know if you pooped yourself a little bit, but in the moment of whenever there is like the crisis that happens and adrenaline hits. So I'm like, don't let the fabric touch. Don't let the fabric touch. So I put in as much air. So I'm like driving, trying to stop, trying to stop my car. And so I'm driving, and I know where I'm at. So I'm coming down this hill, and it's a really windy road. But I know that once I turn, like kind of make this big this big turn, there's like a few driveways that are kind of like blocked off. And so I pull up in one. Pull one. I'm still kind of, I guess I'll arced up so that way, I don't touch anything. And I reach in my glove box and get out a bunch of napkins that I have that there, and I just do the first prelim just to see what we're dealing with and if it was real, because I didn't really know, but So I did a prelim with a Naki, and we're in crisis mode at this point. It is crisis mode. So then immediately what I thought was like, okay, so I'm still up like this, and I decide that I need to get my pants down, because if I can get my pants down, and then I can deal with everything else like outside or whatever, but I need to get my whatever. That was my thought process. So I'm still up, and I work my pants down past, but I still had my undies on. Yeah, I still had my undies on, but I worked my pants past down, and so now I'm sitting like this, trying to arc, and my pants are down here, and I'm shimmying out. I'm in this guy's driveway, but I pull back because it's like a really long gravel driveway, and I pull in, and I pull off, and I open my driver's door, and I get out, and I have all my napkins. I also eat a lot of fast food, if you can't tell, and I have a bunch of napkins. So I'm there, and I'm standing there, and I pull my undies down, and it is like, as Chris Pratt said in Parks and Rec, it is like wiping a marker, dude. It was crisis. Cri- cri- Crisis going down. So now I'm standing like this. I got my pants down. I'm arced out. I'm arced, and I'm trying to get as many as I can back there, marker wiping, right? So in the middle of this moment of utter just bad moment, right? I look, so my car is right here. So if you're the car, I look to my left, and on a tree right here, perfectly lined up, is a freaking trail cam staring directly, just looking perfectly where I am. And the my shape, how I'm standing, the best way I can describe it is I would pull up a graphic of it, but I don't know if I'll get tagged for anything. Is if you look up Brent Suter, look up how he pitches. The stance he does where it looks like he's like perched like a bird. That is what I look like with my actual pants at my ankles. I have my undies at my knees. Brent Suter stands looking at a trail cam holding like 30 napkins of marker. And it just hit me in that moment of, of just being there and just being like, this is exactly the kind of thing that would happen to me on this day. And that if I showed up and told Christian this, he would have lost it. He would have laughed so hard and he would have brought it up every time he saw me. Man, but it was just a moment. It was just a moment on that day of me having this raw moment of panic. Anyway, back to it. So now I am laughing because now I'm like, dude, if this guy looks at his trail cam, because they only record if they see motion, and I've pulled into his driveway a decent farther than anyone should be, and I did it because I'm trying to hide. Turns out that's exactly why he has a trail cam there, is in case someone's trying to hide. And so he got me. So there might be, actually, I lied there. I said no one knows. This guy might know. This guy might have footage of it. This guy might have footage of that. So anyway, I ended up taking all the marker stuff. I did take them with me. I drove into the next town, which was my town, and disposed of them, and then showed up to the place. Showed up to my buddy's house. Like nothing happened. Immediately just went straight to the bathroom. Like, nothing happened. Went to the bathroom, got fully cleaned up, and then got back. No, I stopped. I stopped. Yeah, that's what I did. I stopped at the gas station. I stopped at a gas station, cleaned up, and then I went to my buddies and then fully cleaned up. That's what it was. So now we're. I haven't ridden a motorcycle in. At this point, I haven't ridden a motorcycle in over a year, 3 years, like 3 years. I think it was probably like 3 full years. I haven't ridden a motorcycle. So I am on Christian's brother's motorcycle, and kind of nervous and shaking. We ride up to the gas station. This is kind of just a sidebar on it, but we ride up to the gas station to get going, and we all get gas and things like that. And then my bike wouldn't start. So all the other guys, they constantly ride, so they look tougher and cooler than me because I'm a little awkward and nervous on this, and I'm in my nice outfit, and I also am awkward because I just pooped myself. So I'm kind of nervous, and I couldn't get the damn thing started, and they had to pull back over. Then as soon as they came over there, it started again, and then I looked like an idiot in front of all of them. But that was it. That was the whole story. So I think that's how I wanted to start it out, was just with a story of just being completely open and completely vulnerable with you as we move through our podcast life together, as we grow in this relationship. So I do, though, since it is a vulnerability thing, I do want to know, if you put in your comments if you ever had just a similar story. Just you don't tell me the story or anything like that. Just give me some type of like encouragement, just so I know that I'm not alone out there, just so I know that I'm not alone. But yeah, that was that. All right. Survivor. Survivor is the absolute greatest TV show and greatest game that has ever been invented by any human or any other race of any species, of any planet, of any universe, in any solar system ever. And I stand by that. The game is beautiful. The game is beautiful. Obviously, if you don't know what the premise of Survivor is at this point, my God. But the idea of when you vote them out, and then you need to get them to vote for you to have the best game and for them to give you the money and the title. Crazy good game. But I want to talk about Survivor Season 50 because I am a huge Survivor fan. If you know me, you've known this. I've watched from season one, episode one. I can actually remember watching that season when I was a child. My stepmom was completely into Survivor. She loved every moment of it, so we watched Survivor constantly. Anyway, but I've seen every season of Survivor at least 3 or 4 times of every season, and that's the ones that I don't like. Any other season besides like those, probably like 5 or 6. Check, check, check. Any of those like 5 or 6, or yeah, 5 or 6 seasons. I've seen those seasons 8 or 9 times. It is constantly on loop since Paramount Plus became a thing. I've had it, and I constantly just have Rhea, go, go lay down, baby, go, go on. Thank you. It's constantly on, and I can remember everything, and I pretty much know everything about Survivor. Even season 50, I've already seen every episode of season 50 at least 4 times. When the first episode came out, I just watched the first episode 3 or 4 times that week, and then when episode 2 came out, I would watch episode 1 and then episode 2, just constantly on loop, and then eventually once I got to like episode 5, then I would just watch episode 5 3 or 4 times, and then in that week, and then 6, and I would sometimes even just play it as I'm driving around and door dashing. I would just play it in the background and just be listening to it. So I've already seen that one as well a few times, but I haven't seen it all the way through, which is how how normally you watch them. But I have at least seen every episode already and seen kind of how it's working. And then I've started now already watching back through season 50 from the start, and I'm on, I believe it's episode like 5.5, 4.5, somewhere in there. But let me look up real quick. I just need to get the full cast, just so I can see all of the pretty faces all in one picture. Reddit is a beautiful thing. So let's get into Survivor. Let's talk about it. And I need to stop saying and. Survivor. Let's talk about it. I'm a huge fan of old school Survivor. I think old school Survivor, I think Survivor at its purest is the most beautiful game. Then I think adding extra things into it, I'm all for hidden immunity idols. I'm all for hidden immunity idols. I'm all for like twists and advantages. I totally get it. You got to keep the game fresh. You got to move on. I totally get it. I absolutely get it, and I'm all for that. However, there's a caveat to that. Is I think that every advantage needs to come with the ability for the player to still play. Lay down, baby. Lay down. Down. Is every advantage that comes needs to come with the ability for the player to still be able to play the game. The idea of the game is that you can outwit, outplay, and outlast them. So I think that at all times, you should be able to do those things. For example, let me give you, this isn't like a blanket. Those aren't blanket statements because somebody's going to be like, "Well, you can't do it here." I agree with you. Whatever you're about to say, I agree with you. This is what I meant. Specifically, let's look at the Christian advantage. The Christian went on the journey. I get it. He risked his vote to go, but give him the chance to play. Like, give him the chance to get out of it. Give him the chance to maneuver. So let him lose, make him vote for himself. That's fine. But don't make him tell the tribe. Let him come back and have that knowledge to himself and then still try to swing the vote to somewhere else. I think you have to let them play because in Christian's moment, everything prior to that is basically 97% does not matter. 97% of his game and his airtime and all of those things, not airtime, I guess, because we get to know him, but all of his gameplay, all of his decisions, all of his conversations, all of his scheming, all of the preparation, it does not matter because at this point, everyone on the island's a threat. And you're not only making him vote for himself, which is taking a vote from whoever they are actually voting for and putting one on himself, but he's telling all of them, so then it makes his threat, it makes it even easier for people to vote him out, which is why I think that he did end up going out, is because of those things. Rhea, go lay down, baby. Go. Go lay down. So he didn't get a chance to play. If you would have just given him the chance to come back and still play out of it, I get the advantage. I love it. Now, my question would be though is since he had to read that his because I read the paper, but I can't remember the fine. I remember the fine print of that. Like he didn't have to if he wouldn't have voted at all. Like if he would have just done the one in the urn, but he wouldn't have voted again with his actual vote, then he could have kept his vote. Is how the fine print was. But would he have had to? Let's say if he wrote down, we'll pick Aubrey. I don't even know if Aubrey was in that situation where he could have been voted, but we'll pick on her because she's the winner. Had he been able to write Aubrey's name down, did he have to come back and read it though? Because then if not, which I don't think he did, then the advantage is totally stupid. Like you just added an extra punishment. Going on an advantage is a risk already because you're putting a bigger target on a big target. Christian's a big target. You put a bigger target by him going on the advantage alone. And then he has to come back. And now they don't have to speculate. He just tells them, hey, I have to vote for myself. So I think that's where I don't like. I want them to be able to play because I like the game at a pure sense to where the players can still play the game. Now you can fast forward to the Devons, where Devons did the Mr. Beast. I love it. Someone had to do it. They all technically bought in, and it was just easy because Devons was in a perfect place to do that. I love it. Had he flipped up and it was gone, I still love it. I love it because it was an absolute choice for all of them to play into it, and then he's the one that volunteered. Now he wouldn't. It would have been cool to see it play out in a different way, to where if Devins wouldn't have volunteered, like how would that have manifested, and who would have ended up being that person, and those kind of questions. It's kind of interesting to think about. I think that when you look at, and this is my reigning example, this is my shining example, because some people, especially a lot of Survivor fans, they come into it during COVID, which makes sense, and then they've been into it since then. Or you get like younger fans where they're coming into the show because it's in its 50th season. So you're obviously going to have people that are young because I was young back when it started and people were into it. So I get why you're into it, like the adventure, and it's an amazing thing. I get it. I know why you love it. And you get back into the old stuff, and then a lot of the new people say that they can't watch the old school because of it's so boring and it's so this. But it's like that's the game at the purest, to where it is the you are constantly having to manage those people in a different way because now in the game because now in the game, if you people expect big moves and they expect blind sides and they expect you to be in control and they expect you to do all these things. I get it. I love the game. I still love the game. I'm not saying I don't. I love the game. It's my favorite thing. I fucking love it. Trust me. Where I struggle with it is well, where I sorry, I lost where I was going with that. What I struggle with is when people say that old school is boring. It's because these days people expect those big moves, so they're more forgiving of those big moves. There's so many more there's idols, there's super idols, there's boomerang idols, there's knowledge is power, steal a vote, block of votes, immunity nullifiers, there's sneak out of camp and go sabotage the other tribe, there's steal supplies from other camps, there's trading in rewards, there's switching reward, there's so many layers and aspects in the game at this point that it is one of those mathematician numbers where it's just really hard to calculate, but you don't have to have a purity of the social relationships alone. For example, if you look at season 1, for whatever reason, because I mean I've watched it back, obviously it's one of the greatest seasons, and I put season 1. Season 1 is bold claim, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make bold claims that I stand up on. I'm not going to put it in my top 10 because I think that might be crazy, but I'm going to lock in season 1 is in my top 15 of all time seasons. It might be in the top 10. It's definitely in the top 15, season 1. But if you look at like at the very end, like one of the most famous lines from season 1 is Sue saying, "Let nature be as it should," and that the snake eats the rat. Dude, you were wronged by both people. You just actively campaigned like against Wiggles. Like it was that it's like the social game wasn't handled the same, and that's that purity of where like a small thing was different and she lost the game just in socially. That might be a bad example. No, that's exactly what I mean. Where Kelly just didn't have the perfect social game aspect of it to where she had someone on the jury that was extremely mad. So, and then I think, and this is a claim that I will stand on forever, top 5 seasons of Survivor. One of them, I don't know where in the top 5, but is season 3, Africa. If you want to experience old school Survivor at its peak impurity for what I think was Survivor, the social aspect of Survivor was just awesome. And you still had the game aspect of the surviving aspect put to the test. I think that's something that's also lost because they always go to Fiji. Is now it's also a lot shorter of a season to where you can pretty much just go out there and not. I mean, I couldn't do it, but people could go out there and just not eat anything and make it. The 39 days is that's a lot tougher to do. But Africa is great because they had to go get their water out of like these super muddy and dirty holes, and they actually had to stay up all night. They had 2 people had to stay on watch because there were actively lions outside of camp. So they're physically surviving at all times, and then also you're watching this season in a way of you're watching them start to fully understand of like how you vote someone out, how you let them know, how you speak at tribal is so paramount to winning the game. It's so evident in season 3, and I think that is where a huge thing happens is season 3 with that social game. And I don't want to say, and just in case you haven't seen it, I mean, you might know who won. I don't know. I don't want to just say it, but if you watch that season, that is like to me old school Survivor in its purest, and I think that that is being lost in a lot of these things because these advantages and these things are painting people into these corners. Now, choice or not, but you don't know the full choice. So, do you know is the risk worth it? Like a beware advantage, I get it, I'd do it. But if it is like going on a journey, well, now that you know that what Christian had to do, it's like, dude, I used to think that like journeys you can kind of like always figure your way out of them or you can use it to your advantage or you can lie or whatever it may be, but now you're like, dude, I might have to come back and tell them exactly what happened. And that is, I don't like that part. I don't like that part. So let's keep going. All right, so now back into the cast. So now into the cast, looking at the cast, this cast was perfect. I loved the who they brought to it and what they did. Some of them at first I was like, man, I don't really feel this, but obviously Survivor nailed it. They did great. Before I even get into the cast, I wanted to shout this out. I have the note up here at the top actually. Actually, it's right after cast, but this makes sense to go first. Is this season, the production of this season was spectacular. It was beautiful. It looked great. It sounded great. The way that they told the story was amazing. The way that they twisted things back, like they would go, they wouldn't tell you something. Something would happen, then they would flash back 3 episodes, 2 episodes ago, which I thought was really nice. The episodes were long and they were jam packed of things, which I thought was nice. I thought the pacing was different. It wasn't just like very traditional. It was very different. Where you had people voted out at the end. You had when Kyle was removed, that was an awkward timing. There were a lot of things that I thought were very neat in the way that they did them. So production, great. I had no idea who the winner was going to be as I was watching, and I watched multiple episodes and watched the arcs happen going into the final like 8. I had no idea. 7, no idea. Even the final episode, I was like absolutely confused. The cast. We do play, me and my friends play Fantasy Survivor as well. My first round draft pick, I picked ninth because Rizzo actually did a cameo and set up our draft order, and he put me as ninth, which is last place drafting. And I drafted in the first round the man, the myth, the legend, the real one, the real man, the myth, legend, Colby Donaldson. Obviously, Colby was my hero back in the day when I was watching Survivor as a kid. Absolutely love Colby. I thought it was great to see him again on the TV. I thought it was great to see him again in this capacity and seeing him more in a fatherly, kind of an older, wiser man of the mountain kind of persona, because the what happened on Heroes Villains was just, it was just a bummer, just the way that all shook out. Anyway, don't want to harp on that because everybody's talked about that already. Sorry, I keep hitting that. Other members of the cast, Genevieve was awesome. When I first saw Rizzo in 49, I didn't like him, but then as soon as he did the I want to give myself a hug, I fell in love with Rizzo. I think Rizzo is awesome. I cannot wait to see him again on Survivor. I can't wait to see him on other shows. I think he is a great personality and he's a great person to be famous. So Rizzo's awesome. I liked Angelina in her season about giving Nat or taking Natalie's jacket. So funny. Q, I hope there's more of Q. Stephanie, legend, obviously. I don't really need to go through this whole cast. Let me just go through the important parts here. Suri Fields, one of the absolute greatest players of all time. The way that she was able to manipulate and move votes this season is spectacular. The way that she was able to narrate the season was spectacular. She was a great person to weave all of that together. Her understanding is just insane. As you know, her understanding of the game is just insane. Ozzy, I cannot believe that you did not play the idol. I don't get it. I don't get it. For me, if I ever play Survivor, I have a few hard and fast Survivor rules that are written down in like my brain, and one of them is the idol like that. In that situation, obviously, I you can say, well, you know more. Nope. As soon as you're split into small tribes, everything is shaken up. You are not there with your girl. You are not there like with your actual solids, and things are shaky. You play it. You've already went out with one in your pocket. You play it. You play it because you don't want to live with that what if. Rick Devens. Rick Devens did something this season that's gonna change Survivor. There's a few moments that you can look back and realize when they happened, that not specifically that one move or action or thought or gameplay is the thing that changed itself, but sometimes it's the impact of what that enables and encourages others to do. For example, Cook Islands. When people talk now about, here's a trivia question for you. I just gave you a hint. I gave you a hint already. Cook Islands. The idea of splitting votes to flush an idol. What survivor came up with that idea? Your hint is it's from Cook Islands. That's the one they were split up amongst race, if you don't know the top of your head. Pause the episode because I'm going to keep going here in just a second. I'm going to ask the question again, but what survivor in Cook Islands first suggested the split vote to flush an idol? All right, we're moving on. It's Cowboy. Cowboy suggested this to Yule because Cowboy had a dream about credit cards, and he was like, pay some here and pay some here. You have three, 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 and you put three and three, and that's how he came up with the idea. And he told Yule this, and then I believe it's the exact reason that Yule ended up voting him out, because Yule also had an idol, and he didn't want that idea of like getting pushed back out there, I believe. But Cowboys when they came up with that. So that's like common knowledge. The reason I brought that up is that's common knowledge. Everyone knows, oh, they have an idol, let's flush it. When you say flush it, that means that there has to be another vote, which some people have said too loosely, and they say it in the wrong moments, because then you get caught where you're like, yeah, we'll just flush the idol. And then it's like, well, who are we going to vote for on the side? And you're like, well, the person you would vote for is standing in the circle. So if you say the word flush, everyone knows what that means. Rick Devens had one of those this season. When Rick Devens and Christian, I'll give Christian the credit too because he was absolutely in on it and he was the blind side. But when they came up with that idea and they planted the fake idol at Tribal. Now, I don't think that people are going to plant fake idols at Tribal constantly, because Jeff or the producers may make that a rule that you can't do it, just to keep things kind of orderly there. But that idea of planting something in such a way to use it publicly like that is really unique. There was other people that's they've planted idols and had other people find idols, and there was the who was the one lady that I can picture. I just can't think of her name, but she re-hid the clue and people started digging up the bush and it was like full of ants, and I can't think of her name. But so there's people that's replanted stuff, but planting something at tribal council like that pushes the envelope in such a way that I am excited to see what comes next. And also, shout out to the producers again for the way they allowed that to happen. They told that story because that story also became very important later on in the game. So it was perfect. So now it also shows the next cast that come out, the next survivors, that if you do something awesome and unique in a way that really is not just, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go jump the fire just to jump the fire at tribal. Like something like that's stupid. But you did something to influence the game because Survivor, back to its core, is a game where the rules are meant to be very loose in a way of letting them set the rules. Like they could make it a rule on the island that whoever's the shortest is who goes home next. That could be the rule. It won't, but it could be. Like there's no, rules by the producers like that. So I think that Rick Devens pushed it in a way that we don't know what's next. It's almost like when someone asks you, well, what's the next technology going to be? I don't fucking know. We have AI right now. I don't know what the next thing is going to be. And you know what I mean? I have no idea, but I can tell you that right now we're sitting on the edge of something amazing. So I think that Rick Devens really, really pushed that envelope, which I like to see. Let's see who else I have. I did want to shout out my girl, Jenna. I did going into the season. I thought that you were going to go really far and potentially win it, and you went out first. So my bad for jinxing you. I think out of all of them, Tiffany is our standout as a total badass. She solidified that. Cannot wait to see what comes up next. Coach was back. If you don't know, so like I said, I'm the huge Survivor fan, and Coach is my all-time favorite Survivor, my favorite character. And I actually had the chance, my Survivor group that I mentioned, my Fantasy Survivor group, they bought me an early birthday gift, and I was able to sit down with Coach and get a nickname given to me. So as he is the Dragon Slayer and the Tidewalker, he has given me my own nickname. I actually will give you a chance if this is the first time you're hearing about this. I'll give you a chance. Go check out the YouTube. It's on my YouTube at Rusty Buckets Gaming. There's a Coach Gives Me a Nickname video there. Go check that out. Or it's on my socials. It's tagged on a couple of different reels and things on Facebook and Instagram. So go check those out. If not, and then next one, I might play a little clip of that. And we actually should have a little bit more coming of that here soon. More an update on that coming here soon. So that was really neat. That was a really awesome experience, which I absolutely love because Coach is my favorite. And it was a totally awesome experience. My second draft pick, because we do get two people in our draft, my second draft pick was Jonathan, and I thought Jonathan played an amazing game. Sitting at Final Five, I texted the group and I told them that if, in my order, it was Tiffany, Aubrey, Jonathan. If those three were in there, that's how they would win. So if Tiffany was in against anyone, she won. And then if Tiffany was not, if Aubrey was in, then Jonathan. I thought Jonathan played a great game. I thought he had a good tribal council. I do think he's the total package, and I think he could have won the game had the argument been perfect and Aubrey flumbered. Flumbered? The hell is that? If Aubrey flumbered her argument, then there would have been a chance for Jonathan to win. But Aubrey is just, her story is great, but I'm not even relying on the story. Like, I've heard so many people say, her scars are so deep. She's the perfect one to win the game. Dude, isolate that stuff. She played a great game. She played a great game. If you rewatch it, she played laid low when she needed to lay low, which is always the hardest thing to do. And if people say that that's any type of argument against it, it's like our first two-time winner. Laid low when she needed to lay low. Aubrey laid low. She also whispered the right things at the right time. People say she told secrets. She did tell secrets, but like she said, she used them as currency. Being able to sell a secret to the first person is the most valuable thing rather than being the third seller. And she understood that in the right times. And she would share those ideas to the right people. And then not only that, it would then make the other people look weaker because then they're going back to someone else to say, yo, I just heard this. And then now it's getting confirmed what Aubrey already got there. She played a great game, man. She played a great game. And when it came down to the actual end game, she admitted that she had bought a Samotion on Etsy. So she practiced beforehand. She had a chance. She knew that there was a chance for this to be in. It was kind of a long shot because there was other options. She nailed it and she won. Her final tribal was amazing. She absolutely freaking crushed it. So hats off to Aubrey. I think it was a great winner. I think it was a great season. I love the season. Even some of the things that people hated on at first, I was kind of against some things, but as you watch them back, it's awesome. The Zach Brown thing, it's pretty cool. It's kind of long, but it's still pretty cool. Because I think that if you look at the contestants, they really liked it, and that was really neat for them to have a cool experience, and it was a cool story. It kind of took up a lot in that one episode, but overall, it was pretty cool. I don't want them to do it again. Please don't listen to that and say that you want to do that again. That is not what I'm saying. But that is my Survivor 50 rant for now. Next, or forecasting, we will be getting into next episode of the podcast. I'm going to be talking about my Mount Rushmore of Survivor players. I already have them set. I know my four, but I want you guys to do the same thing. If you're listening to this now, we'll be back in either a week or 2 weeks. I'm shooting for a week, but it may be two, but I'm shooting for a week. That's the goal, is to be able to get this out weekly. Is think about your Mount Rushmore of Survivor players. And Mount Rushmore is not who's flashy or you're trying to be controversial. No, these are actual people that laid down foundations and changed the game. These are icons. These are people that you would put and carve into the side of a mountain. Okay? Mount Rushmore. Think about yours. I got mine, and I'm coming with my arguments. I also may have some commentary, or I may have, yeah, on that with some other people's opinions as well to share on this one. Anyway, that is our Survivor 50 wrap up. You heard it here probably like a 500th time because other people's already given out their opinions on season 50. But I wanted to give out my opinion as well. This week on the Philosophy Corner, we are bringing you the idea that got sat to me in college. This was actually a kind of a two-parter. This came in two different waves. This came in a philosophy class and it came in an English class. In the English class, we were learning about English or something, writing things, but all of it was centered around court cases, and I pretty much hated the class. Basically, we would go in there, we would learn about a court case, and then we had to just write a paper if we like what we thought, like whichever side we were on. I thought it was really not really that into it. But at the same time, I was taking a philosophy course, and the philosophy course was teaching us about to know any argument, you need to know the opposite argument just as well, if not better, to be fully believing in your argument or your side. And it was seek the dissent. That was the idea. Seek it. Seek the dissent. So this is our philosophy corner, and this is what we're going to think about, and this is what I'm encouraging you on for this week, is seek the dissent. And anything that you possibly believe or that you hold to be true, seek the dissent. For example, if you lean right politically, seek the left's understanding and their media. If you lean left, seek the right's. If you think that there is a God, seek why atheists say that there isn't. If they say that there isn't, seek why believers say that there is a God. Or if you believe in one religion, seek another, not seek the religion, but seek the knowledge of why they believe in that. I don't want to say tell you to seek another religion because that would be blasphemy, but seek why that person believes in that. Because in that, it will further your own understanding, and sometimes you will actually come out with a better understanding and a more well-rounded understanding of those things. So seek the dissent in anything. If you swear by that pineapple does not go on pizza, but you've never tried it, seek the dissent. Go try it. I love pineapple on pizza. If you've never tried it, go try it. Seek it. If you seek that dissent, you'll become a better person. Guaranteed. Our last segment of the podcast is actually going to be our Rusty Buckets highlights. Let's kick it over to Rusty Buckets and see what's going on over there. What's up? Rusty Buckets Gaming, we have a lot of interesting thing going on. So if you guys have not already, please get over and subscribe on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rusty Buckets Gaming. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Please go check us out. The things we have going on specifically is we are playing MLB The Show 26, and we have a Road to the Show going on with a starting pitcher, a knuckleballer named Dizzy Schaefer. He was the first overall draft pick in the draft, drafted by the Pirates. He absolutely torched the AA, went to AAA for a month, and then made his major league debut. We made our major league debut in Colorado, which is poetry if you followed along with us over on YouTube with our Colorado the Rockies series. And then our second game was actually playing at home in Pittsburgh against the Cincinnati Reds. So even more poetry. I couldn't write it myself. Baseball is, what do they say? It's hard to not be romantic about baseball. Is that how they say it? Baseball is a beautiful thing. You couldn't have wrote it better myself. So you got to go over and check out that. We also have the Reds franchise going on right now. In the Reds franchise, we had to restart it because of some audio issues. But we had to restart, and we just currently re-signed Ellie De La Cruz to a 10-year contract, $270 million. We also traded for Brenton Doyle from the Rockies, and we signed him to a 6-year deal, I believe. We won opening day, and we are starting to look into our drafting and moving forward with that. We also play a lot of Marvel Rivals, which is a hero shooter game. We are working on our Platinum Trophy on that, which is where you just get a lot of different specific objectives done to say that you beat and mastered that game. So we're working on that. And then also we're doing the rank climb on Marvel Rivals, trying to get better at the game, trying to understand it. It is an amazing game. If you haven't played it, it's great. It's great for all ages. We'll get more into video games in a different episode. Not Arc Raiders. We play Arc Raiders, but I haven't played it for a long time. Arc Survival Ascended is something that we have paused on, but we will be bringing that back here. And within the next week, we'll be back on Arc Survival Ascended with the Bucketopia, the Welcome to the Land Before Rust, Bucketopia. We'll be getting that going again here very soon. We also have our NASCAR series going that we play. It is the Chimmy Johnson. We are in our 4th season of that. Jimmy Johnson just got eliminated from the Trucks Craftsman Series playoffs, but we still have a few races left, and we are still in the hunt for the Arca Menards. The Arca Menards series, we're still in the hunt. I believe we're currently sitting in 5th with a few races left. Next season, we don't know what we're going to do, if we're going to jump up into Xfinity or if we're going to stay down, because I did want to get the trophies, but that is something that is up in the air. So come join us. We're live on Twitch 5 days a week. We don't have a set schedule yet because we're trying to work that out with how we're going to do that with the podcasting and how all the timing works out with the things that we have. I don't want to over-promise and then under-deliver on that. So right now I'm just promising that we'll be live 5 days a week. I'm trying to pump out, when I do go live, I'm trying to pump out for at least 4 to 5 hours every stream. So that's putting at least 25 hours out there. So get over to Twitch. If you have Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, get over to Twitch and you can actually subscribe to Rusty Buckets Gaming for free to you. You're already paying for it. It's in your Twitch or in your Prime subscription, and it actually does pay me and supports everything that I do. And other way to support me is just like and share everything. If you do like and share, I don't want you to like and share if you don't approve of what we're putting out. If I put it out, I'm putting the Rusty Buckets Gaming or the Randall Clay or the Cricket in the Cabin stamp on it. So it's going to be quality. I will always go for quality over quantity. And I appreciate you guys so much for being here. If you have made it to this point in this podcast, just know that you're a real one. I very much appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to see you again. And we'll be there soon. Thanks. See you later.